What's going on, guys? We got River Banshee Angling here. What I wanted to talk today about is spawn fishing. Okay, we're gonna go over some tips and tricks about how to locate spawning bass, because let's be honest, spawn fishing is really fun. It's fun. You can catch some really big bass and you can have a lot of fun out there. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is locating bass. Okay, we want to make sure that we're looking at the right places for the bass. Now, Northern Illinois, I know you guys down south, you guys get the seasons a little bit faster, so spawning happens much quicker than it does up here. Now, on the back end of winter, okay, the fish and the bass are going to come up from the deeper ends and they're going to move shallow. Okay, after the spawning happens, or the mating happens, you're going to have males on the beds to protect the eggs and eventually defend off the fry. All right. Now, whether you're fishing lakes or you're fishing rivers, they're going to be shallow. Okay, the males will be shallow and they will be directly on top of the beds. Okay, the beds are going to look circular. They're typically hard surface. They're going to be rocky bottoms. They're going to be a clearing for the bed. Okay, the males will be the ones doing this. Sometimes you'll catch them doing it in the early spring rather, but they'll be right on top of it. They'll either be sitting directly on top of it, or you'll see that they're circling it. Okay, now the next thing is going to be presentation. You want to make sure that you throw in the right lures, and this ties into clarity of water. Okay, during this weekend it was crystal clear. The water was beautiful here. I was throwing a drop shot watermelon lizard on the beds and I was doing really well. Okay, right now we've had a couple storms for the last few days. Things are a little bit murkier, so I could throw on some colors that are a little bit more gaudier. Okay, you can do a black and blue, you can do black purple, you can do a chartreuse green, you can do things like this, maybe a sexy shad color, with a chartreuse in there. You can throw those things with the murkier water and they're going to stand out real nice. Okay, now there's a couple lures that I like to throw during this time. Okay, number one, the Zoom Super Fluke is a year-round bait for me. It's one of my favorite lures ever. It's something that you'll catch me using, and honestly, if I'm having a bad day fishing, you'll see me throwing a fluke as my secret weapon. But a fluke is great. Okay, depending on how you hook these up, you can hit them, you can zoom them right past the beds, you can get that defensive strike, right? And that's another thing that I want to note and add here, is that the bass that are on these beds aren't feeding at this time, right? You're getting an aggressive defensive strike on the lure, and that's what you want. Now with a fluke, you can get that zoom, or you can have it slow roll and dive right on the bed. You're gonna get something hit real nice. Okay, like I said before, a drop shot lure lizard is great. Whether it's a drop shot lizard or even a brush hog, you can do a bass jig, typically a football head. You can do a swim jig as well with a nice juicy trailer on there. I like to use a craw. There's a couple different craws that I like to throw. I'm no real particular in which craw that I'm throwing. It just really depends on the presentation that I like. Now I wanted to show a couple lures, the ones that I'm talking about here, just in case any of us are new to fishing. You just might not know what these are. So what I wanted to show you is one of the classics, right? It's a lizard. Okay, the lizard I think is one of the most underrated baits and underused baits ever. I mean, it kills whether you're fishing the weeds. You can drop shot it on beds like I'm talking here now. You can sink it in the pocket on the weed edge. You can sink the holes in the weed beds. There's so many uses for it that it's so versatile and it gets so many strikes that it's honestly, it's one of my go-tos during spawn. So this is a watermelon lizard. This is a classic color here. You can get these anywhere. They are made by Zoom. You can throw a split shot on it, really all you need, and you can just work those beds, right? I'm typically working on a Texas rig. You're gonna notice that I also Texas rig my flukes. That's typically the way that I'll do that. All right. Now the next thing I wanted to show is the bass jig. This is another classic bait here. This is going to be something that everybody will you know, who loves to catch big bass, they'll tell you to use a bass jig. A bass jig is also something that's extremely versatile, whether you're fishing a lake or river. You could punch the beds with it, you can punch weeds with it, you can hit the beds hard with it. It's just overall all year round something that you can pretty much let rip. Now the last one I'm going to show here is the fluke. This is what a fluke looks like, also made by Zoom. As you see, I got the Texas rig here going on. Now depending on how you hook these flukes, if you put the end of the hook here at the edge just like that, you're gonna get something, you're gonna get an action where when the fluke is going, it's gonna hit a nice drop down. That part is exactly what I use when I'm using a fluke on beds. Okay, it's a no-brainer. It's natural. It's got such a good presentation on it, and it lands right on the bed, and you're gonna get those reaction strikes. Okay, remember, we're looking for reactions here. All right, now a little bonus tip that I want to talk about spawn fishing, because we'll get deep into it here with the next couple videos. But when we're fishing a river, all right, you'll see me in the rivers a lot. When we're fishing a river, where you're gonna find these river bass is the second there's a break in the river and it causes a pooling right along the shoreline, right? Typically along the shoreline, it's gonna be shallower, where the current it's breaking, it's not nearly as tough for the bass to fight. It creates a calm for them to sit inside. That is where they're going to be spawning. If you see a tree lie down, if you see an eddy, if you see anything that's causing a break in the water for there to be less current, that is where they're going to be spawning, typically, almost always. All right, so if you're going to hit the rivers, remember to go shallow and find that cover, and just behind that cover, sometimes just before too, but sometimes just behind that cover is exactly where you're going to find the bass on the river. This was a little quick one. I just want to throw some of these out here. I'm going to create more videos as spawn comes through. We only have a couple weeks of it before we go into summer, and you know what that leads to. We're going to go top water typically. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Again, I'm going to be dropping at least 2 videos a week. As we move through spawn, we'll go through that. I'll be going over some more stuff for you guys. Thank you so much.